247 Fahrenheit begins by showing Jenna, who is in a car with her boyfriend, Jamie. The two were on their way home after attending a family gathering. Even though he was a little drunk from drinking too much, Jamie still decided to drive the car. Jenna looks very happy throughout the trip because she and her boyfriend decided to get engaged and get married as soon as possible. But unfortunately, Jenna had to bury the plan deep because that very night, they had a traffic accident that instantly killed Jamie. The incident made Jenna very depressed. 3 years later from the tragic incident, Jenna is still not fully recovered from the trauma and depression due to the death of her boyfriend. Jenna has a best friend, Renee, who is always by her side and helps her deal with tragedies in the past. Renee takes Jenna on vacation in a cool and beautiful lakeside area with Michael, Renee's boyfriend, and also one of Michael's friends named Ian. They planned to stay in a cabin by the lake owned by Ian's uncle. The four of them then boarded a speedboat to reach their destination. Arriving at their destination, they were immediately greeted by Ian's uncle, Wade, and his friendly pet dog, Bo. Wade has even prepared alcoholic drinks to welcome his guests. When Wade offered Jenna the drink, she politely rejected and asked permission to enter the cabin first. Renee explains that Jenna is still traumatized by drinking after a fatal accident that killed her boyfriend. While in the room alone, Jenna, who regularly takes medication to reduce her depression, decided not to take a pill. When everyone entered the cabin, which turned out to be quite spacious and comfortable, Wade said that they could use all the facilities in the cabin as they pleased and hoped that they would all feel comfortable while staying as if they were at home. Renee and Michael did not waste the opportunity to chat. Without shame, they went straight to the bedroom upstairs. After Renee and Michael left, Jenna and Ian were awkward because they had only just met each other. Even so, Ian tried to be polite and Jenna tried to be friendly. At dinner, Wade told that he was going to the annual festival and after that, he had some work to do elsewhere. Therefore, he said that it was possible that he would not return to the cabin until tomorrow morning. Wade proposes that his guests have fun and attend a vivacious party in a neighboring town. Jenna and the others seemed interested, but they decided to rest in the cabin first for now. After Wade left, Michael and Ian walked through the cabin and found a sauna room. The two young men immediately took off their outer clothes and rushed into the sauna room. Renee then invited Jenna to relax in the sauna room. Although initially hesitant because she felt a little uncomfortable, Jenna then followed her best friend's suggestion. The temperature inside the sauna room is set to 187 degrees Fahrenheit. Michael and Ian went first to the sauna room while carrying beer. Shortly after, Renee entered the sauna room and immediately clung to her boyfriend, who was getting a little drunk from drinking a lot of beer. Since Jenna didn't come to the sauna, Ian decided to pick her up. It turned out that Jenna was already standing at the door to the sauna room, but she was still unsure whether to come in or not. But because Ian came and politely asked her to join them in the sauna room, Jenna finally gave in and walked into the hot room with 2 bottles of water. After a few minutes in the sauna room, the temperature in the room was getting hotter. The four of them then decided to get out and plunged into the lake and seemed to be having fun. Because the weather was cold, they couldn't swim in the lake for long. Shaking from the cold, they returned to the sauna room to warm up. Meanwhile, Michael is getting drunk from not stopping his beer and because of the marijuana that Wade gave him earlier. Michael, who is now under the influence of alcohol and marijuana, invites Renee to have sex with him right away. Renee, who was annoyed that Michael was very drunk, immediately refused her boyfriend's request and went into the sauna room, following Ian and Jenna, who had entered first. Rejected from his girlfriend, Michael got mad and then left. Meanwhile in the sauna, Renee grumbles to Jenna and Ian about her boyfriend's very childish behavior. As the temperature continued to rise, Renee finally decided to leave, but the sauna room door couldn't be opened. Immediately Jenna panicked because it turned out that she had claustrophobia. Hence, she from the beginning was hesitant to enter the sauna room because she had an excessive fear of enclosed spaces. Renee tried to calm her down, while Ian tried to break down the door, but his efforts were unsuccessful. At first they thought it was just Michael's joke because they all knew Michael was mad at Renee, which they didn't think was funny. After all their efforts screaming for help and breaking down the door in vain, the three of them could only wait for Wade or Michael to come to open the door at some point in time. Wade had already said he would be gone all night and would probably not be back in the cabin until tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, Michael was probably very drunk and wouldn't have noticed that his friends were locked up in the sauna room at a fairly hot temperature. Renee then accidentally finds the temperature controller hidden in the sauna room. When Ian checked it, it turned out that the temperature controllers could only be used from outside. Ian also didn't dare to fiddle with the heating for fear that it might explode and burn them alive. Not only that, the bursts of gas are quite toxic and dangerous for them. Then Ian tried to break the small window in the door using the stone and the heater, even though it hurt his hand. Luckily Ian's efforts paid off this time and at least they could get a bit of cold air through the window opening. The three of them took turns breathing fresh air as the temperature rose higher, and made various attempts to open the door which was blocked by wood. Though all of those efforts failed, Renee intended to fiddle with the temperature control, but Jenna stopped her. She was worried that the room temperature would increase even more. While observing the lighting in the sauna room, an idea crossed Ian's mind to cut off the electricity. If the power goes out, maybe even the heater won't work. Ian then tried to cause an electric short circuit by fiddling with a lamp, which resulted in himself being electrocuted until he fell and became unconscious. The electricity went out, but the heater in the sauna room still worked. Meanwhile, Wade is seen preparing to set off fireworks, not far from his cabin. When Bo tracks down the screams of Jenna and her friends, calling for help from behind the house, Bo barked loudly, trying to tell his master. Because Wade was too busy preparing the fireworks and ignored Bo, the dog eventually went home alone and barked in front of the sauna room. Jenna and her friends heard Bo's voice and shouted for help louder because they thought Wade had come home. On the other hand, Michael, who was fully awake, met Bo outside the cabin, who kept on barking. Michael couldn't hear his friend's screams for help because at the same time, Wade set off fireworks with a booming sound. Since Michael is unreliable, Bo goes back to Wade and still barks to tell him about Ian and the others trapped in the sauna room. Wade finally realized that something had gone wrong because of Bo's strange behavior and decided to rush back to the cabin. But on the way, Wade met Michael, who was walking alone. Thinking that Renee and the others had left him, Michael told Wade that his friends had gone to the party without him. Because Wade thought that there was no one in his cabin, he finally invited Michael to smoke marijuana by the lake. Back in the sauna, the situation becomes even more serious as the three of them start to run out of water to drink. Renee, who was getting more panicked, tried to destroy the temperature controller and assumed that it would lower the temperature, but her attempt was stopped by Jenna, who accidentally hit Renee's head, rendering her unconscious. Jenna, starting to panic, decides to destroy the thermostat, which increases the temperature just as Ian had feared. Ian, desperate for his fate to be roasted alive in a moment, then becomes hysterical and endangers himself in an attempt to prevent the steam engine from heating the room and killing them all. He manages to destroy the steam engine, causing the heater to explode and kill him instantly. The explosion apparently made the door open and Jenna stepped outside and tried to get some water, but it turns out that it was all just Jenna's hallucination because she then realized that she was still trapped in the sauna. Jenna checked the condition of Renee, who was still alive, though unconscious. Jenna tries to save Renee by placing her by the window to get some fresh air. Meanwhile, Ian was already in an unconscious state. After that, Jenna tried to plug the gas line before the whole sauna room filled with toxic gas, which she managed to do just in time. On the other hand, Michael returns to the cabin after spending time with Wade, but he fell asleep on the sofa and did not know the terrible incident that had happened to his friends. Flashback shows Michael unknowingly dropping the wooden ladder and accidentally blocking the door, leaving Renee, Jenna, and Ian trapped in the sauna room all night. Towards morning, Wade finally arrived at the cabin and found Jenna and Renee, who were already weak but managed to survive, while Ian was dead. Wade immediately contacted the paramedics to save Jenna and Renee. The police then arrived at the scene and interrogated Wade, who did not know anything because he had not been home all night. Meanwhile, Michael could only cry hysterically and feel guilty because his negligence and carelessness had brought disaster to his girlfriend and friends. The film ends.